Hi guys, welcome to my channel, The Outdoor Setup. My name is Bri, and today we're going to be talking about the PS2 Slim, the MX4 SIO and the MemCard Pro2. Now, if like me, you've been struggling to get your head around the MX4 SIO and the MemCard Pro2, hopefully today what I'm about to tell you is going to help you. After watching hours of videos and trying to get my head around what was going on, I finally cracked it and found out some issues along the way which might help you. So hopefully this will help. So without further ado, I'm going to show you how to get this set up. Okay guys, so we've got a monitor, a laptop, MemCard Pro2 with a 128GB SD card, Bitfunk's MX4 SIO with a 256 Evo Samsung SD card and a Samsung 64GB USB. The 128GB is really overkill for this. It's the only card that I had lying about. 256GB for the MX4 SIO. Again, it's probably overkill for the amount of games. You could probably put all the games from the PS2 on there if you wanted. It's plenty for me. I've got so much storage left and I've got all the games that I love on there, so perfect. Now the USB is also for games, and if you're wondering why, this will be explained shortly. The MX4 SIO, the SD card has been formatted from exFAT to FAT32, as OPL will only read FAT32 formatted cards. Same with the USB. The USB has been also converted from exFAT to FAT32. The MX4 SIO is very fussy with SD cards, so I found out. After following all the steps advised off the YouTube channels that I've been watching to do this, I later got down the line to figure out that the MX4 SIO will not read PNY cards for some reason. After reviewing SD cards online, I found that the Samsung Evo was a perfect combination for the MX4 SIO. The files on the MX4 SIO can only be 4GB or less, so when you put the ISO files onto the MX4 SIO via the Samsung SD card, it has to be under 4GB or it will not fit onto the SD card. It won't allow it. You'll get a message like this to say you cannot do this, it's far too big. There is a solution for this which I later found out down the line, and that is where this little gadget comes into play. So what we do is we download a program called GUIFormat. So if you just type that in online, you'll find GUIFormat, open it up. When you see this box, just click on yes. So what you'll do then is you'll put your SD card into the laptop or PC or whatever it is you're using. Select the drive that is sitting in. Obviously, quick format is an option, but I would strongly suggest to do a full format. So I would unclick this box and then go down and click start. Once you've got your MX4 SIO loaded up with the games that you've got under 4GB, you want to then download this OPL manager. So go into OPL manager once it's downloaded. When it pops up, you may get this message, but that's okay. Just X off that if you can. Go over to settings, change mode, OPL folder. Select the pathway where your SD card for the MX4 SIO is kept. Click on it, select folder, save. And then all the games will load up here. So these are the games that are on your MX4 SIO. Another folder may come up here saying invalid files or something along that line. And all you just need to do is select that, and you may change the name of it. So you just basically rename that so that it's less than 32 characters. And once you've done that, you can click on OK, and it will then appear in your folder, which is good to go. Once all the games are named correctly, we go to Batch Actions, we go to Art Download, and we select all of these or all the ones that you would like to show in OPL, and just click on Start. Mine are obviously already loaded, but what it does is loads all the artwork for the games. You can just exit out of here. All the games will then load up, and as you can see, they all have artwork on there. So, for example, Enter the Matrix, and then we have GTA Liberty City Stories, Spider-Man. Yeah, all the artwork is good to go on there. And once that's finished, you just then eject the SD card from the drive. This, flip it upside down. We put this inside. That goes in there. And this in there. Now, as it's 2025 and wires don't have to be in the way of our controllers, I like to use a PS4 controller with my PS2. So what I do to attach that to the PS2 is use this little device by Brooke, which is a wireless controller adapter. And all you do is plug that into your controller port. Then we run the wire from the controller into this USB port, and once we power that on, that will then connect to the controller. I now have the controller hooked up to the Brooke controller adapter, and I'm just going to power on the PS2. And as you can see, it's automatically synced with the controller, so now we can unplug this cable. And when we power the controller back on, that will sync and turn white. We're all powered up and wireless. So now that the system's powered on, this is the MemCard Pro2, which is already set up and sunk in. We will go over that a bit later in the video to show you how to set that up. In slot 1, I have the MemCard Pro2. In slot 2, I have the MX4 SIO. Underneath the MemCard Pro2 is obviously the controller adapter. And in the first USB port, that is where the USB is. So once the PS2 has been powered up, this is where all the games are kept. Now this may say OPL or Open Loader PS2, or in my case, Open PS2 Loader. So we just click the X button on that. Once Open Loader or OPL comes onto the screen, it will show all the games from first the USB port. As you can see there, it says USB. And then if you click right on the controller, that then takes you over to the MX4 SIO in the slot 2 memory card position. Left again is for the USB games, which are too big, and we're going to go into why they are on a USB and not on the MX4 SIO again later in the video. I'm going to show you how to split basically the ISO files into 1 gig files, which then become UL files and not ISO files. UL files and ISO files can't be read off the MX4 SIO from the same folder. Therefore, we use the USB for that method. So all the games on your MX4 SIO will be your ISO files that are under 4 GB, as we mentioned earlier. And all the games on the USB are the games that are over 4 gig and needed to be split down into UL files to obviously read from the USB port. So we take the USB and we plug it into our laptop or PC. And as you can see, we've got the same layout here as what we do on our MX4 SIO. So here we have all of our UL files. Just going to make this a bit bigger so I can show you. Everything there, 13th of October. That is 1 game. So again, the different dates will show different games. Now, what it is that this 1 game here, for example, from the 13th of October, that is 1 game that would have been 4.25 gigs, something like that. I've had to obviously split that into miniature files so that it can be read off the USB. To convert the ISO file into a UL file, we're going to need to download something called USBUtil. So I have USBUtil version 2.2. I'm going to double click on this. A little message will pop up. We can click OK. And then we go to File, Create Game from ISO. So I have Metal Gear Solid 2 on my desktop. I'm going to select the drive where my USB has been put into, which is E. We don't need to click on any of these, we just need to make sure that we're on the pathway E. Click DVD and make sure that the name for the new game is written here. So I've got Metal Gear Solid 2, and then we're going to click Create. Now that has done its thing, we click on this, and now we can see that the game has been successful. If you look at the status, I'm not quite sure what this means, but that is meaning that that has been successful. So we click out of this now, and as we go over to our USB, we can now see that from today's date, which is the 29th of the 10th, that that has now been put onto the USB. Eject. And now we can remove the USB from the laptop. Now we have the MX4 SIO SD card in, and you'll notice that on the USB all the games were here because they didn't need to be in a folder, they just needed to be on the USB. What I didn't mention earlier is that the MX4 SIO, some games you will get that are, you know, below 700 megabyte, I think it was. And then anything within your gigabytes up to 4 gig will go in DVD. So there's a DVD folder there, as you can see. And this is where all the ISO files are, which are over 700 megabytes, up to 4 gig. So if we come out of that, in the CD file is where you would put all your games that are below 700 megabytes. Because that is now classed as a CD-ROM and not a DVD. Now our SD card with our ISO files for the MX4 SIO slots into the MX4 SIO, which then slots into memory card slot 2. The UL files on the USB then slots into the first USB port. Okay guys, we're now going to get into the MemCard Pro2 by 8-Bit Mods. For this, I'm using a SanDisk Extreme 128GB SD card. Now, the first thing we want to do is put our 128GB SanDisk SD card into the laptop or PC. And then what we want to do is go to this web address right here. So what 8-Bit Mods advises on their website is that you go to the SD Association to format the SD card that you're using with the MemCard Pro2. So go to the website, and then you want to scroll down and download their SD formatting software. I've already got the software downloaded, as you can see, SD Formatter. We double click into this, then we click on yes. And you want to select the drive which your SD card that you're using is set into. So in this case, mine is in drive D. We go down, quick format is fine with this. The SD card can be formatted to FAT32 or exFAT for the MemCard Pro2. So we just click on format. Once the SD card has been formatted to exFAT or FAT32 for the MemCard Pro2, we then want to download the latest firmware for the MemCard Pro2. So as this video is being made, the latest version I can find is version 1.4.1. So download the latest version. Once you've downloaded and extracted the latest firmware, you want to then extract it, and you want to copy this mcbp.bin file and the OS file over to your MemCard Pro2 SD card. Don't worry about these two folders at the moment guys, PS2 and PS1 folder, as they are generated once the SD card has been plugged into the PS2. They are generated later on. Mine are already there as I've already done this before. Okay, so now we're going to eject the SD card. Once it's safe to remove the card, we can then take it out. We then put the card into the MemCard Pro2 and then into the PS2. Turn it on. Now what this will initially do when you plug this in is install the latest firmware update. After the firmware update, the MemCard Pro2 will make a virtual memory card, and once that has been done, we then click and hold this left button down release for the main menu, and then with the same button we want to go down to Wi-Fi setup and click the right button. And then what we want to do is visit this web address. Once you've gone to the web address, you need to do this on a mobile phone, on your cellular data and not the Wi-Fi. You will then come to the MemCard Pro2 Wi-Fi setup wizard. Click next, select your network, and then to join you want to enter your Wi-Fi password. And now you will see that the MemCard Pro2 is connected to the Wi-Fi network. This can help with advanced settings like going into a web UI. So if you was to hold down this button again, release for the main menu, you can scroll down to Wi-Fi, where you can then press the right button, and that will give you the IP address. You can then take this IP address to a web browser and you can get onto the MemCard Pro2 folders and web UI information. There's a great video on YouTube by Arcades Games, and he really goes into depth on the MemCard Pro2 in terms of the Wi-Fi functionalities of this card, as well as some other great features. I would strongly suggest you go and check that out if that is something that you're interested in. Or if you're just like me and you're not too bothered about the Wi-Fi technicalities and you simply just want to use this device as a virtual memory card saver for each game that you play, then you're probably as far as you need to go. Okay, so now you should be at a point where you've got everything loaded up. You've got FreeMcBoot installed on your MemCard Pro2 to use with OPL. You've got your games all loaded onto your USB, and you've also got all your games loaded on your MX4 SIO. So now you should be able to go and play those games. Again, each game that you load up and play will automatically develop a 8 gig memory card if that is how you set that up through your MemCard Pro2. I hope this has helped, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Load them up, enjoy, and I will see you all on the next video. Please think about giving me a follow, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell for future videos. Again, guys, thanks very much for watching, and I hope to see you all very soon.